You're live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address India's largest and first of its kind startup event, Startup Mahakumbh in New Delhi. The 44-day-long electoral process for the India's general elections kicks in. Election Commission to issue notification for the first phase of polling. World Meteorological Organization reports shows the multiple global heat records were shattered last year, showing a planet on the brink. UN Chief Antonio Guterres says Earth's issuing a distress call. And on to the details now. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address entrepreneurs and all stakeholders at India's largest and first of its kind startup event, Startup Mahakumbh, today. The Startup Mahakumbh is a forum which brings together stakeholders from the world of startups, innovators and upcoming entrepreneurs. The event is designed to foster innovation and entrepreneurship across India. In a social media post on X, Prime Minister on Tuesday said that India's strides in the world of startups has been phenomenal in the last few years. Well, Startup Mahakumbh, a premier event showcasing India's vibrant startup ecosystem, is on in full swing. The event offers a unique platform for startups to connect with a diverse array of stakeholders, including venture capitalists, investors and potential corporate partners. DD India's Siddharth Bharadwaj has more.
Startup Mahakumbh, an illustrious gathering of startups, unicorns, sonicorns, investors and industry stakeholders. Entrepreneurs from across the nation have converged here, each with unique products and high aspirations. With a projected attendance of over 1,000 startups across the three-day event, this serves as a prime opportunity for them to showcase their innovations and carve out a niche in the market.
As we all know that India has the third largest ecosystem of a startup in the world. The Startup India mission started in 2016, and at that point hardly there were 300 startups in the country. Today the entire ecosystem has grown and now we are more than 1 lakh startups in India.
From harnessing artificial intelligence in their offerings to presenting handcrafted treasures, each exhibit here narrates a distinct narrative.
Salam Kisan is a data-driven, tech-enabled end-to-end platform that helps farmers with better decision-making. We have an AI crop calendar. We provide drone as a service and soil testing 90-second service. We also have input and output marketplaces where farmers can buy products from and sell their produce.
We make paper without cutting a single tree. We make paper from waste cotton rags. And now, interesting thing we do is we infuse seeds in our paper and have created 2,000 plus products.
We have an e-commerce platform for artisans and NGOs. We help connect them to markets. And we also work with them on product design, unit economics, and help their products become better and ready for corporate gifting as well.
Beyond just a haven for startups, this event also captivates visitors with its unparalleled offerings.
Really excited and happy to see all the new age startups here.
This is a great opportunity offered by the government to the people to showcase the small products, to put their talents out and to get in connection with the rest of the world.
With myriad startups seizing the spotlight on such grand stages, the future of India shines brilliantly.
Startup Mahakumbh is an excellent platform for the startups to showcase their products and collaborate with investors. It's a place where different ideas converge and visionary minds unite. With camera person Vishwabandhu, this is Siddharth Bharadwaj reporting for DD India in New Delhi.
And for more, Tapas Bhattacharya and Ajay Mishra joins us from New Delhi. Well, Tapas, Prime Minister is to address the Startup Mahakumbh today in a short while. Can you tell us more about it?
Right. Right, Lipakshi, let me just tell you that this Startup Mahakumbh is the biggest and place where all the startups, incubators, entrepreneurs, everybody is coming here in one particular place to take India's growth story forward, and that is something that has been a major point that we have been talking about. Lipakshi, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, Tapas, you're quite audible.
Right, yeah. Yeah, Lipakshi. So what I'm saying is that this Startup Mahakumbh is the place where, you talk about any kind of startup. You talk about deep tech, you talk about medtech, you talk about AI, SaaS, fintech. All the startups are coming in under one roof, under one umbrella, and the idea is to take India to 2047 to become a Viksit Bharat, a developed nation, and that is the whole idea behind. Remember when 2014, when the Modi government came to power, the number of startup was somewhere in the region of 300, 350, and now the latest figures by 2023 December, the latest figures suggest that it has crossed 100,000. The number is 1,17,000 something approximately. So the point is I'm trying to make here is that India's growth story is reflected on these spur in the number of startups. And to talk more about that, I have with me Ajay Mishra, our senior correspondent, somebody who has been tracking this for close more than a decade. Sir, we have been talking about startups, but this Startup Mahakumbh is expected to be a major game changer, not just for the entrepreneurs, but also for the world to come and see what India is all about.
Absolutely. I think, Tapas, when the Startup India campaign was launched on 16th of January 2016, I could imagine the energy in the Vigyan Bhavan that we could witness that there was some kind of spark in that very house. I believe that the similar kind of energy we are going to see in the Bharat Mandapam. 8 years down the line, the number of startups that you have just said that have reached 1.23 lakh. Almost 109 unicorns, which means more than 8,000 crore valuation the companies has been made. There are 10 focus sectors that are being showcased right behind us, which are the major focus. 23 states are represented here. More than 1,000 startups are showcasing their products and services out here. There are 1,000 investors from 10 countries who are visiting. So this is a Mahakumbh in a real sense, and this is a platform where the Indian startup ecosystem, Tapas, is going global. Right. That is the central point of this Mahakumbh, that we are now ready to go global.
We are ready to go global. The point I'm trying to make, Lipakshi, and Ajay also mentioned the fact that you now have more than 100 unicorns. By unicorns, to give our viewers an idea, each unicorns is value over $1 billion at least. At least that they have touched that, isn't it right? So idea is that you have the 2014 there was no unicorn. You had 350 odd startups, but now it has grown manyfold. It has in the last 10 years we have seen the startup infrastructure, startup ecosystem for that matter reach a level where India is right now the world's third largest ecosystem. Just to put it in perspective, Lipakshi, I ask Ajay, this unicorn, more than 100 unicorns you have, this is also somewhere down the line showcase India's growth story, isn't it?
I think more than the unicorns, it is the problem-solving mindset which has been inculcated not just in the Tier 1 cities, Lipakshi, but in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. And I met a startup from Andaman Nicobar who was solving a problem of food wastage. So look at the local issues and local problems that the Indian entrepreneurs are trying to solve. And just one number, Tapas, $140 billion has been put into the startup ecosystem since it has been launched. Now 2022 was a very good year when we received, in just 2022, we received $25 billion. But 23 was not a very good year. It was a winter for startups because of the global meltdown or global slowdown. So it was just $7 billion that we received in 2023. But now 2024 is going to be a bright, shining year for the startup ecosystem. And that's why we are trying to, get a great gathering of investors, accelerators, and investors to come across on one platform.
Right. Lipakshi, before I wind up, I just wanted to put across this point that ecosystem, we talk about the startup ecosystem, but this also provides employment opportunities to millions of people. So in many ways, this is truly a circular, the startups provides impetus to the circular economy.
All right, such a massive startup. Thank you so much, Tapas and Ajay, for joining us and giving us that update. And moving on, let's get you the latest on what's happening in India in the run-up to the world's largest democratic general elections. All right, India's 44-day-long electoral process begins on Wednesday with the Election Commission of India issuing the notification for the first phase of general elections on Wednesday. Voting for 102 Lok Sabha constituencies across 17 states and 4 union territories will take place on the 19th of April. The last date for filing nominations is 27th of March. 39 seats of Tamil Nadu, 12 seats of Rajasthan, 8 seats of Uttar Pradesh, 6 seats of Madhya Pradesh, 5 seats each in Uttarakhand, Assam and Maharashtra, 4 seats of Bihar, 3 seats of West Bengal, 2 seats each in Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Meghalaya and 1 seat each in Chhattisgarh, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, Tripura, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Jammu and Kashmir, Lakshadweep and Puducherry will go to polls in the first phase. In total, general elections will be conducted in 7 phases with the final phase scheduled for the 1st of June. Counting of votes will take place on the 4th of June. And India correspondent Aisha Khanam joins us from Bangalore for more. Well, Aisha, Election Commission of India will issue the notification for the first phase of general elections today. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, the notification process begins today. That means, the much awaited election in India will get underway from today. And with this notification, the political parties will begin the process of filing the nominations and selecting the candidates and withdrawal of nominations, and all the entire the detailed procedure that has been given in the manual will be implemented. Remember, there is a model code of conduct that is enforced as soon as the elections were announced. So the political parties will now abide by this, and they will go ahead and they will further strengthen their campaign. And many of the political parties are stitching up alliances with different parties. So as far as the southern India is concerned, the South India is concerned, Tamil Nadu is one of the biggest states in South India, which will go to polls in the first phase, that is on April 19th. And this will be a much watched state, because the BJP, the ruling party BJP, and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is eyeing a big share of massive victory from Tamil Nadu. And Puducherry is another state in South India which will go to polls in the first phase. So these are the regions, which earlier have been confined to regional and Dravidian politics, which means they were very narrow kind of narrative politics that we saw in southern part of India in Tamil Nadu. But now with BJP, this has changed. The BJP has enlarged the canvas of political campaigning and the issues that bind the country. So in Tamil Nadu, the fight is between DMK and the AIDMK.
Yes.
The BJP is emerging as an alternative for the people, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been campaigning across the southern states massively to pitch the seats, which is over 129 seats from South India.
All right. Also, Aisha, what is the electoral scene there, considering both the states are going to polls in the first phase? What can you tell us about the preparations going on?
Well, the preparations are underway. As I said, there are last minute touches being given to the final list of candidates. The AIDMK, the DMK, the BJP, all these big parties are coming together with their own alliances. Yesterday, the BJP had finalized alliance with PMK, wherein the PMK will get 10 seats and they will fight alongside BJP. So for BJP, aligning with the regional parties in South India will be a mutual benefit, because the regional parties in southern India have been ruling the roost for a long time, and the BJP is now trying to come together, uniting all these regional parties in the southern state of India. So this will be one of the big fights to watch for. And on the other hand, the main opposition party in India, the Congress, is also coming up with alliances with DMK, and they also have alliance with several other parties, and the Congress will fight over 10 seats in Tamil Nadu. So remember, this, as I said, this is the region which was confined to much of regional politics and caste politics, but BJP has changed the entire landscape of political campaigning and the issues that concern the entire country. So this election will be very interesting to watch for, especially in Tamil Nadu and Puducherry, which is a neighboring union territory which has a single seat, and all the preparations are underway at Puducherry as well.
All right, Aisha, thank you so much for that update from there. And still to come on DD India News Hour. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says Philippine-U.S. alliance is in hyperdrive. Hong Kong lawmakers unanimously pass a new national security bill which punishes offences including treason, sabotage, sedition, the theft of state secrets. And U.S. Supreme Court allows Texas police arrest migrants suspected of illegally crossing border. White House calls the law harmful and unconstitutional. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lepakshi Khurana, and moving on, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Philippine President Marcos at the Presidential Palace in capital Manila and spoke about the president's upcoming visit to Washington, where he is expected to meet President Biden and Prime Minister Kishida of Japan. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called United States and Philippines relations hyperdrive.
Relationship between the Philippines and the United States is in hyperdrive. I think that new horizon of cooperation is also incredibly promising, but it's building on the very strong foundation between our countries, where we have the same priorities, whether it's economic development, whether it's dealing with climate change, with food security, of course, upholding international law.
Also, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken hailed the semiconductor industry in the Philippines and stressed the importance of strengthening ties between the two allies. Blinken emphasized on being given a tour of a facility in Manila run by MCOR Technology, a provider of outsourced semiconductor packaging and test services. Blinken's visit precedes a trilateral meeting in Washington next month involving President Joe Biden, Marcos, and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. And Patrick Falk joins us from Singapore on U.S.-Philippine alliance. Well, Patrick, as friction has grown between Manila and Beijing in recent months over competing claims in the South China Sea particularly, America has assured of ironclad security commitments to the Philippines yesterday. What do we understand by this?
Well, it is exactly as the Secretary of State says. Their commitment to the Philippines is unwavering, and Beijing's reaction is much along the lines as you would expect. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian said that the US is not party to the South China Sea issue and that it had no right to interfere in the disputes between the Philippines and China. He also said that cooperation militarily between the US and the Philippines should not harm the sovereignty or the maritime interests of China, and also said that the US shouldn't be backing the Philippines' illegal claims. But, you know, this is the sort of obfuscation that we've seen time and time again when it comes to these territorial disputes where China is concerned. As we know, China claims nearly all the waters of the South China Sea, but that claim has been pushed back and overruled by an international ruling in 2016. It has been invalidated. So really, this statement, these remarks, continued remarks that these are illegal claims, just are contrary to reality, a lot of people would say. But, you know, one thing that is important that has happened here in particular, and one thing that the Philippines would have wanted to get some sort of clarity on, is what would constitute a situation whereby the US would step in to the defense of the Philippines, given the sort of rise in tensions that we've seen between China and Manila. And Secretary of State Blinken said that any sort of armed attack would constitute that. So that is a warning to Beijing. You might argue at the same time, though, we're unlikely to see Beijing back down in any way in its stance, but whether or not it steps up its assertiveness is another question.
All right, a warning to Beijing. But the Philippines remains a key strategic hub for the US, especially because of its position in an evolving region. What is the value of Washington's commitments to Philippines ahead of this year's election in the US?
Well, it's absolutely key in terms of the US's Indo-Pacific strategy. And there are question marks, if there is any sort of change in government in the US, whether or not that alliance will remain as strong as it is right now. Of course, it's coming before this trilateral summit that's to take place between Japan and the Philippines and the US, and the Biden administration has gone to great lengths to coordinate efforts between its allies to counter China. And some of the reaction from Beijing on that has been interesting as well. There was an article in the Global Times saying that the US was trying to create a Asia military mechanism similar to what it has with AUKUS, and that would heighten tensions in the region. It is difficult to see how things might evolve if there is a change in leadership in the White House, but certainly it seems as though the US is trying to shore up those partnerships as best as it can at this critical time.
All right. Thank you so much, Patrick, for that information from there. And moving on, Hong Kong lawmakers on Tuesday unanimously passed a new national security bill within a fortnight of it being tabled, fast-tracking a major piece of legislation. The package, known as Article 23, punishes offences including treason, sabotage, sedition, the theft of state secrets, external interference and espionage, with sentences ranging from several years to life imprisonment. Hong Kong's Legislative Council was first presented with the bill on the 8th of March, following a month-long public consultation. The new law will have extraterritorial effect outside of Hong Kong, giving rise to fears it could be used to intimidate and restrict free speech in other jurisdictions. The law will come into effect on March 23rd. And in India correspondent Laura Westbrook joins us from Hong Kong for more. Well, Laura, tell us about the changes for Hong Kong right now.
Yes, I'm standing outside the Legislative Council, which is Hong Kong's mini parliament, and on Tuesday, John Lee, the leader of Hong Kong, said Hong Kong had fulfilled its constitutional duty in passing Article 23, as it's known, which is Hong Kong's own domestic national security legislation. He called it a historic moment that was more than 20 years in the making. Now, he says that it will stand alongside the 2020 Beijing-imposed national security law that was imposed after months of pro-democracy protests in 2019. Now, the speed of which this law was passed really took many here by surprise. It was first published by the government on March the 8th. Lawmakers debated it in 6 days. They debated 181 clauses in that time and held special meetings. And it was passed unanimously by Hong Kong's pro-Beijing legislature. Now, John Lee, he's defended the speed at which this law is being passed. He says that it was necessary because Hong Kong still has national security threats. He referenced those protests in 2019. He also said that Hong Kong is facing a complex geopolitical situation given the rising tensions between the US and China. There are concerns, though, in sectors of the community, the legal sector, the journalism sector, that this could have a chilling effect on some activities in the city. The law does propose some new offences, including foreign interference. It also raises the maximum jail term for sedition from 2 years up to a maximum of 7 years.
All right. Also, Laura, well, the new law, as we know, will have extraterritorial effect outside of Hong Kong. What has been the reaction to the legislation, most importantly?
Yes, we've had reaction coming in. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, he gave a statement saying he was alarmed by how quickly this law had been passed. He also said that provisions could lead to self-censorship and could have a chilling effect. That concern was also raised by Human Rights Watch. And there have been concerns raised among the legal experts in Hong Kong, saying that it could have a chilling effect, including on meetings with the diplomatic community. The Hong Kong Journalism Association has also said that it could impact journalists and what they report on. And even some foreign business groups in the city have raised concerns about vague terms such as state secrets and foreign interference. And they said that could cause a more risk-averse attitude. One businessman told me that that could mean that some business or some investment that could have come to Hong Kong, that could potentially go elsewhere, and that will raise that could raise concerns about the impact of Hong Kong's status as an international city. The government, though, says that this is necessary. It has sought to reassure the business community, saying that normal business activities won't be affected, but that uncertainty is still around here in Hong Kong today.
All right. Thank you so much, Laura, from Hong Kong, giving us those updates. And moving on, the US Supreme Court has allowed Texas to enforce one of the toughest immigration laws enacted by its state in recent memory. The measure allows police to arrest and prosecute those suspected of illegally crossing the US-Mexican border. Punishments would range from misdemeanors to felonies and potential imprisonment of up to 20 years or fines of up to $2,000. Crossing the US border illegally is already a federal crime, but violations are usually handled as civil cases by the immigration court system. Besides, the courts have previously ruled that only the federal government can enforce the country's immigration laws, not individual US states. Also, White House has said that the Texas law will sow chaos and confusion at our southern border, while the Republicans call it clearly a positive development. In a statement, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said, and I quote, SB4 will not only make communities in Texas less safe, it will also burden law enforcement and show chaos and confusion at our southern border. She also termed it as just another example of Republican officials politicizing the border while blocking real solutions. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Haiti is facing an ongoing wave of violence in its capital, with gangs targeting wealthy neighborhoods. Aimed at ramping up national defense capability, North Korea claims progress in development of hypersonic missile. And 5 U.S. states hold their presidential nominating contest on Tuesday. Donald Trump and Joe Biden notch wins in Ohio. Ex-president prevails in Florida, Illinois primaries.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibility. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Time now for a quick recap of the headlines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address India's largest and first of its kind startup event, Startup Mahakumbh in New Delhi. The 44-day-long electoral process for the India's general elections kicks in. Election Commission to issue notification for the first phase of polling. World Meteorological Organization report shows multiple global heat records were shattered last year, showing a planet on the brink. UN Chief Antonio Guterres says Earth's issuing a distress call. A North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un, guided a ground test of a solid fuel engine for a new type of intermediate-range hypersonic missile as part of a program of developing national defense capability, state-run broadcaster KRT reported on Wednesday. The KRT News reader said that the great success of the test allowed for the project to proceed under a timetable for completing the development of the new hypersonic intermediate-range ballistic missile. KRT added the test was conducted at the North's main Sohae satellite launch station near the west coast on Tuesday morning and afternoon. North Korea conducted a flight test of an intermediate-range hypersonic missile in January also, which it said at a time used a new solid fuel engine and also tested the operation of maneuverable warhead. Also, North Korea's test came following drill between U.S. Special Operations Force with Brigade of South Korean Commandos, which was held recently. The drills were conducted from the U.S. Special Operations MC-130 aircraft on the last day of the Freedom Shield exercises that saw participation from an unprecedented number of member states from the U.S.-led United Nations Command, which has operated as part of the armistice since the 1950 to 1953 Korean War. And Chris Gilbert joins us from Tokyo on South Korean and U.S. troops stage joint military drills. Well, Chris, after Seoul and Washington's joint military training exercises recently, North Korea also responded with furious retorts and live-fire drills. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, well, the US and South Korea hold these drills every year. They've just wrapped up Operation Freedom Shield last Thursday, and beginning on March 11 for 2 weeks, they've also been holding bridge building exercises, which they also do every year. This involves a number of hundreds of personnel from both sides, from a number of divisions, engineers, fire protections, the tank corps, Apache helicopters and Chinook helicopters as well, and these are really focused in Paju, in an area very near the DMZ on the South Korean side, of course, and really focused on the ability to quickly maneuver across obstacles such as rivers in the event that infrastructure becomes damaged. It's a 180-meter river. It took them 3 hours to effectively build a pillared bridge, build a pontoon bridge using aircraft and across it into what would hypothetically be enemy territory using smoke screens. And they say this is incredibly important for momentum, during live fire and combat situations. The South Korean forces saying it's a great opportunity to maximize the interoperability of the South Korean and U.S. river crossing equipment and improve their joint capabilities. And the United States saying that it demonstrates the power of the alliance between the two countries.
All right. Also, was U.S. joint airdrop drills with South Korean commandos? What about the timing? Or was it to grab attention, establish its support to South Korea now that North Korea tested a hypersonic missile?
Given the balance of power between the two blocs being grossly on the US and South Korean side, with the international community and the UN behind them, there is very little doubt that they do not need to grab attention. The attention grabbing is usually done by North Korea, which has an absolutely minuscule economy, is on the brink of a humanitarian crisis in terms of the food supplies going into the country and the food that is available inside the country. And it says is looking to defend itself against provocations by pursuing its weapons program. So these drills by the US and South Korea do happen every year. They are planned very well in advance. There are other ones such as Keen Sword, which are more of a multilateral drill involving other partners in the region, and many others that happen throughout the calendar year. Having said that, there has been a clear communication from both countries and from Japan as well that they intend to enhance these drills, cooperate, as they say, on higher levels, and really smooth and polish the interoperability, as they say, or the ability to work together across languages and platforms as North Korea continues to develop ballistic missiles and dialogue is still off the table.
All right. Thank you so much for that update from there. And moving on, Haiti is facing an ongoing wave of violence in its capital, Port-au-Prince, with gangs targeting wealthy neighborhoods. Dozens of deaths have been reported, while parts of the city have suffered blackouts. DD India's Latin American correspondent Maritrina Mena has more details on this.
Tensions remain high in Haiti amid increased attacks by gangs who are now set to control 80% of the capital. The situation continues to worsen despite the resignation of the country's Prime Minister Ariel Henry last week. The Caribbean nation is waiting for the formation of a transitional council that is expected to fill the political vacuum. However, the announcements have not calmed the violence, with heavily armed civilians causing chaos across the city. Over the past couple of days, gangs have concentrated their attacks on neighborhoods where they have looted buildings and killed residents. Pétionville is a wealthy suburb in the southeast of Port-au-Prince. It's been reported that at least 12 male bodies were left in the streets. The capital's electrical power grid was also attacked. In a statement, the utility company Electricity of Haiti said that 4 substations located in the metropolitan area of Port-au-Prince were vandalized. As a result, they are out of service. The surrounding areas were affected by a power shortage, one of them the entrance of the U.S. Embassy. The embassy only has limited operation and has reinforced its security. Meanwhile, Mexico is racing for a new wave of Haitian migrants who are using its border to enter the United States. In recent years, due to the violence, thousands of Haitians have fled to the U.S. Maritrina Mena in Caracas, reporting for DD India.
All right, the Earth is sending a distress signal. That is how the Secretary General of the United Nations has summarized the latest UN climate report, which has revealed a number of weather records were broken last year. The report, launched by the UN's World Meteorological Organization, has revealed that the planet is on the cusp of breaching the Paris Climate Accord's key warming threshold of 1.5 degrees Celsius. From Berlin, DD India's Trent Murray reports for more.
This report by the WMO has confirmed that 2023 was the hottest year on record. It also said that the period from 2014 to 2023 reflected the hottest 10-year period on record. It's just one of several revelations which has led meteorologists who commissioned the report to sound the alarm on the warming of our planet. The scientists say that extreme weather last year wreaked havoc for millions of people and caused billions of dollars in economic losses. It also said key records on greenhouse gas emissions, sea ice loss and ocean temperatures were in many cases not just broken, but in their words, smashed. Launching the report, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said the time to act was now.
Earth is issuing a distress call. The latest State of the Global Climate Report shows a planet on the brink. Fossil fuel pollution is sending climate chaos off the charts. Sirens are blaring across all major indicators. Last year saw record heat, record sea levels, and record ocean surface temperatures. Glaciers likely lost more ice than ever before. Some records are just chart-topping, they are chart-busting, and changes are speeding up. Sea level rises are accelerating, threatening coastal communities. And last September, Antarctic sea ice was 1 million square kilometers smaller than the previous record low for the time of year.
The report shows that global average temperatures in 2023 stood at 1.45 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Now that is just shy of the 1.5 degree threshold that was agreed in Paris. Scientists say that if the average rises above 1.5 degrees, well, the effects will be increasingly harmful for the people and the planet. The WMO says, though, there is one glimmer of hope, and that is renewable energy. Researchers say that new green power generation last year increased by nearly 50%, the highest it's ever seen in a single year. But experts say much more is needed to help hit decarbonisation targets. Trent Murray for DD India, Berlin.
All right, 5 states held their presidential nominating contest on Tuesday. Donald Trump won Tuesday's Republican presidential primary in Florida, a vote the former president was expected to carry easily after all his major challengers had dropped out. Trump's win in his adopted home state came as he also won Ohio and Illinois' Republican primary. President Joe Biden, meanwhile, won Ohio's Democratic primary at the same time. There was no contest for him to win in Florida as Democrats there cancelled their primary and opted to award all 224 of their delegates to Biden. Trump and Biden are also expected to easily win primaries Tuesday in Arizona and Kansas, banking more support after becoming their party's presumptive nominees last week. Well, U.S. congressional leaders reached a deal to keep the government funded through the rest of the fiscal year that started in October. Current House rules require that lawmakers have 3 days to consider legislation before bringing it to the floor and pass it before a weekend shutdown deadline. But tensions continue as the nation's $34.5 trillion national debt continues to grow. DD India correspondent Nick Harper from Washington, D.C. gets us more.
Importantly, what has been agreed by the negotiators on both sides is really the last piece of the puzzle, and that was all to do with homeland security. Of course, the very contentious issue at the moment in an election year, looking at how to strengthen areas along the border with Mexico. They have now agreed funding that would run until the end of this fiscal year, so the end of September, along with 5 other bills that they had to agree on. In total, those 6 bills fund about 3/4 of the US government. It covers other big departments like the State Department, military spending, so the Pentagon as well. But we are still in a situation where we may have a partial shutdown, at least for a brief time. Now, midnight Friday going into Saturday, that's the deadline by which both houses of Congress, the House of Representatives and the Senate, need to agree to this. But we still don't have the full text, and only when we have the full text will that 72-hour or 3-day clock begin, which means that people in the House of Representatives will be able to look at the text and decide whether or not they want to vote on it when it comes up for a full vote.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. India's Directorate of Revenue Intelligence in Mumbai was seized around 10 kg of cocaine with an illicit market value of approximately 100 crores, around $12 million, and arrested 2 female passengers of Indonesian and Thai nationality who had come from Ethiopia. The interrogation and case data revealed that the drugs were destined for smuggling in Delhi and nearby areas. Indian Navy and Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur signed an MOU on Tuesday at Naval Headquarters in New Delhi. The MOU aimed to promote technology, innovative solutions and joint research and development related to defence sector in the varied field of engineering. Train operations were disrupted at Bagaha station of Bihar's Samastipur division on Tuesday evening due to the derailment of 2 wagons of a goods train. Some trains have been diverted and operations of some trains have been partially closed. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Relics of Lord Buddha and those of his disciples returned to India after a 26-day exposition in Thailand. Marked by absence of corruption and citizens promoting social support, health, freedom, generosity, Finland once again tops the World Happiness Report by UN. 2-time Olympic medalist PV Sindhu gears up to face Pii Choikkiwong of Thailand as she begins a campaign at the Swiss Open Badminton Tournament today.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs. With a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, India slammed China over remarks on India's northeastern state of Arunachal Pradesh in response to media queries on comments made by the spokesperson of the Chinese Defense Ministry regarding Arunachal Pradesh. Official spokesperson of Ministry of External Affairs Randhir Jaiswal says that, and I quote, repeating baseless arguments in this regard does not lend such claims any validity. Arunachal Pradesh was, is and will always be an integral and inalienable part of India. Its people will continue to benefit from our development programs and infrastructural developments. Unquote. And India slammed the Uniting for Consensus or UFC model for UN Security Council reforms, citing lack of African Global South representation and no change in permanent seat membership. Highlighting China's conflict of interest in supporting no alteration in permanent membership, India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ruchira Kamboj, point by point demolished the UFC model over focus on non-permanent membership and other points. She said that this won't empower Africa or any other countries.
We have the models out for all member states to see. To say, let us agree before we start negotiations is like giving every member country a veto. And while vetoes may be used in the United Nations Security Council, we don't operate on the basis of vetoes in the United Nations General Assembly. Thus, when asking for an impossible consensus preceding text-based negotiations, isn't the UFC just vetoing the whole process and suggesting a my way or the highway approach?
And Uniting for Consensus, also known as Coffee Club, is an informal group of around 40 states that opposes the expansion of permanent seats in the UNSC. The 40 states include Pakistan, Canada, Turkey, etc. as its members and China observer member. UFC aims to encounter the G4 nations, that is Brazil, Germany, India and Japan's proposals for permanent seats. Ongoing crisis and the increased number of conflicts have highlighted the need for more representative, accountable, democratic, transparent and effective reform of the Security Council. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be travelling to Bhutan for a two-day visit this Thursday. The visit signals the importance attached by India to its ties with the Himalayan nation. DD India correspondent Amritpal Singh reports from Bhutan's capital, Thimphu.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in Bhutan on the 21st and 22nd of this month. The visit comes days after Bhutanese Prime Minister sharing top-case visit to India from the 14th to the 18th of March. During the visit, Prime Minister Modi will receive Bhutan's highest civilian award, the Order of the Druk Gyalpo, from the King of Bhutan, Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk. Bhutan had announced the award on the occasion of the country's 114th National Day in 2021. The visit is expected to further cement relations between the two neighboring nations. India and Bhutan share a unique and exemplary partnership which cuts across various sectors like hydroelectric power generation, manufacturing, hospitality, pharmaceuticals, education. In fact, many Bhutanese students every year are given various scholarships to study in India. And also over 1,000 Indian ITES companies are training young Bhutanese students in schools like this, equipping them with IT skills. Infrastructure development remains a key component of India's developmental assistance to Bhutan. Prime Minister Modi will be inaugurating a mother and child hospital built with Indian funding.
In this hospital, there will be OTs, there will be neonatal, ICU. So you call it, all the facilities are now incorporated in this new hospital. So we are very happy to see that we have a now new state-of-the-art hospital funded by the government of India.
Now we have more facilities out here, so we don't have to go to Kolkata or anywhere else.
In strengthening the healthcare services of Bhutan, I think India has played a big role, because back in the day there were lots of patients who needed to be referred out to India because we didn't have the facilities that were required here. But in the recent days, thanks to help from the Indian government, we have brought in new equipment and they have been helping us with the infrastructure, they've been helping us with technical expertise as well.
We are very lucky that we get support from India, and especially for the lives of patients, they make a huge difference.
As Prime Minister Modi prepares to visit Bhutan this week, the stage is all set for further strengthening the multifaceted relationship between the two neighbors, especially in the critical field of infrastructure development like this mother and child hospital, which has been funded by India, that the Prime Minister shall be inaugurating. With my colleague Neeraj Singh and cameraman YK Loknath, this is Amritpal Singh for DD India in Thimphu.
Between India and Thailand, fostering a deep-rooted civilizational connection. Relics of Lord Buddha, along with those of his disciples Arahata Sariputra and Arihata Modgalyana, returned to India on Tuesday after being displayed in Thailand as part of 26-day exposition. Minister of State for External Affairs and Culture Meenakshi Lekhi received the relics in a ceremony marking their return home. Millions of people paid respects to the relics, which returned to India amid full state honours during the exposition. Well, Finland once again tops the World Happiness Report by UN with absence of corruption to determine a country's national happiness. Reports by UN claims the country is filled with citizens promoting social support, health, freedom, generosity, Finland is topping the list for a 7th year in a row, closely followed by Denmark and Iceland. According to the report, the happiness rate has drastically declined in the Middle East and North Africa. War-torn Afghanistan and Lebanon remain the two unhappiest countries in the survey. And you're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for some sports news. Two-time Olympic medalist PV Sindhu will start a campaign in the Swiss Open badminton tournament today. The 28-year-old will face Pichoki Wong of Thailand in the first round of the tournament. Meanwhile, in men's singles, India's Lakshya Sen will start his campaign against Leong Junhao of Malaysia. Two-time T20 World Cup champion Chris Gayle and USA bowler Ali Khan lit up the Empire State Building in New York on Tuesday to launch the trophy tour for ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024. The universe boss Chris Gayle himself had the honor of pulling the lever down to light up New York's most iconic building. The Out of This World Trophy Tour will reach 15 countries across 4 continents, visiting iconic sporting teams and stadiums, famous landmarks and legendary cricketers and more. The event marks the first time an ICC World Cup will be held in the USA. The 9th edition of the Men's T20 World Cup begins on the 1st of June 2024 and will be played across USA and West Indies. Well, Sumit Nagal failed to make the main draw of Miami Open after losing his final qualifying round match to Hong Kong's Coleman Wong on Tuesday. Nagal lost 6-3, 1-6, 5-7 to the 19-year-old, squandering the advantage he secured by winning the first set. Nagal had broken into the world's top 100 last month after winning the Chennai Open. Nagal won the tiebreaker in the first set after saving a break point in the 7th game, while he dominated the second test, breaking Diallo in the first and 7th game. He's likely to reach a new career high ranking of world number 92 after his win. In each year, during the month of March, thousands of visitors descend in Seattle with one goal in mind: to see the 29 cherry blossom trees in their full cloud-like bloom. The trees were initially planted in the nearby Washington Park Arboretum in 1962. Now the cherry trees blossom for more than 90 years old. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.